Hello, welcome to the queue. This is turn 2, the beginning, Germany turn 2, which is odd that I'm focused here on Australia, but there was very little that Australia did. Well, I guess it's the Commonwealth now. Very little that they did, so they just sent it on the chat, so I'll recap it here real quick. They brought two guys over and claimed Java. Standard, and then everyone else consolidated here in Queensland. And they purchased 3 units, which they placed here in South Africa. And the 2 infantry that were there railed up to Anglo-Egyptian Sudan. So that was it for their turn. Let's move on to Germany. And we'll look at their buy here. So for $76, they spent theirs 25, there's a total of 25, 12, 10, and 4 for the tech, and that is your $76. And there's only a couple of tacks here. I've already moved the planes into action, and you can see I'm going to be bombing all 3 facilities. This fighter here, or this tactical, was in Belgium, flew over. These 2 were in Western Germany. They're hitting the air base. They all have a movement of 2 left. And then the 2 bombers that were in Germany are hitting the factory with a movement of 3 left. So before we do that, I'll do the 2 other quick attacks. This sub, probably should switch my hand here. This sub here in 110 at a naval base goes 1, 2, 3, and comes down here and sinks that British transport on an auto kill. The other non-opposed attack, that transport and destroyer, grab the 2 guys off Normandy and head down here. They're also at a naval base, and that is an unopposed landing in Gibraltar. I'll flip that over at the end. So the other attack is the air bombing raids here that I set up earlier. And there are 2 fighters in, let me see if I can get that in the frame here before we get going. 2 fighters in London, you can see there, that could come up and intercept. But Germany has 5 planes, so that would be 5 at 1 for Germany and 2 at 1 for Britain. So I don't think they can afford to lose a plane at those odds. But there will be anti-aircraft, and they are at 1. So we'll do the air base first. Unbelievable. So scratch 1. All right, so let's roll that dice on the air base, and it is 2 damage. Let me get my damage markers here. I should have had my damage markers out. Well, that one was a failure. All right, so on the naval base, I've got 1 tactical. Misses, thank you. And 6, so that was a good one there. Oh, you know what? That's true. The yellow or the oranges are 5. So I'm gonna have to change those out. Put 2 yellows in. All right, so now for the big one. Let's not have any more anti-aircraft fire. Thank you. All right, so that will be 2 dice, and the bombers get to add 2 to their rolls. So they rolled a 10, so 2 for each bomber. That is a total of 14 damage on the factory. So overall, I did more damage than my losses, but still, that really hurt losing all that. All right, so there's your damage. 2 for the air base, 6 for the naval base, and 14 for the factory. Get that out of the way. We were done rolling dice. I'll set that up here at the end. All right, so let's return our aircraft since we have one left to return, or one less than we have to. So they will both go back to Holland, Belgium, and they will both go back to Western Germany. All right, so other movements. Let's go look at some of the markers I got here. All right, so these ships are moving here. This fighter is flying back home here to the naval or the air base here in Western Germany. I got an AA gun sliding over to Normandy. And this AA gun is sliding over to Belgium. All right, so what other moves? Well, I got the camera over here. Now you can't really see where I'm going to go with all those, so yeah, let's put up our little damage markers here. So we've got 2 damage up on the airbase, 6 damage on, boy, those things are really slick. I don't think I've ever realized they were that slick. And you know what? That's big damage there. Let's put the big damage marker on that one. All right. Of course, it's just going to keep falling. Well, I'll put that back later. All right, so coming over here. Let me see if I can widen this up to get the whole 9 yards in here. Move in without getting the Russians. All right. So let me look at my screen. We have 2 artillery from Slovakia, Hungary moving up to Poland, along with 4 infantry, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. All right. We've got, no, we're just going to leave all those infantry. Well, we'll move 1. 1 infantry moves from Romania into Slovakia, Hungary. 4 infantry from Bulgaria up into Romania. 1 tank into Slovakia, Hungary from Bulgaria. 2 tanks from Romania into Slovakia, Hungary. All right, so that is our frontline maneuvers. Get out of here. Cretin. All right, so what can we see in here? We can see France, barely. So I've got 2 vehicles here, a mech and a tank, which will rail. 1, 2, 3 into Slovakia, Hungary. Now here in France, let me see, yep, that's in there. All right, so France, I've got 2 artillery railing, 1, 2, 3 into Slovakia, Hungary. And I have 2 tanks railing, 1, 2, 3 into Slovakia, Hungary. All right, so that leaves to rail. I've got a tank here in Normandy. You can barely see that. It's going to rail 1 into Belgium, 2 into Western Germany, 3 into Germany. Last rail is these 2 infantry in Western Germany. We're going to rail into Slovakia, Hungary. All right, all the planes are staying put. Those guys are staying there. The artillery in France will slide up into Belgium. The mech in France will go over. No, I'm placing guys in Normandy. I don't need to. All right. So they're just going to drive with the 2 tanks, and then the mech are going to drive 1, 2 into Yugoslavia. All right. As I'm looking, I think that is it. I should chip out these guys here. So that's 3, so that'll be a green. And here is 3. And another green. All right, so that'll be easier for me to count on that recap. All right. I'm looking, okay, so now, oh, one more move that I forgot here. Up here in Norway, this infantry and artillery are going into Finland. Now we're done. So now we're gonna place our units. And I'm looking in here. All right, factories are in the view. Well, not all of them quite. All right, so I've got one sub going into 105 from that factory in Normandy. And I've got, let me see what I got here. I've got one infantry going into Normandy. All right, so in C zone 112, I've got my transport of the other sub and the destroyer. All right, so in Paris, I have a bomber and 2 infantry, leaving the rest of my forces going. I'm going to put 1 artillery in Western Germany, and then the 2 tanks and 2 remaining artillery into Germany. That is it. I gain 1 for Gibraltar. So Britain will go down 1 and Germany will go up 1. So that puts Germany at 43. I have Britain at 37 with Russia. So we have the national objectives. We have the Norway-Denmark connection. We have 5 subs, actually more, and we are not at war with the Soviet Union. So that will be 15. That will give Germany a total of $58. So joy to the world there, almost 60. And let's do a recap of what's on the board. In Finland, we have 8 infantry, 1 artillery. C zone 112, we have 4 subs, 1 destroyer, 1 cruiser, 1 battleship, 1 transport. Denmark, 1 infantry. Western Germany, 1, 2, 3, 4 fighters, 2 tacticals. In the artillery and 2 bombers. Sorry, I lost my concentration there. Belgium, 2 infantry, 2 anti-aircraft, 1 artillery, and 2 tacticals. Normandy, 1 infantry, 1 AA. France, we have 2 infantry, 1 bomber. C zone 105, 1 sub. C zone 91, 1 destroyer, 1 transport. C zone 88, 1 sub. Gibraltar, 2 infantry. C zone 92, 1 cruiser, 1 destroyer. All right, so Germany, 3 tanks, 2 artillery. Poland, 1 anti-aircraft gun, 2 artillery. That's 7, 9 infantry. Slovakia, Hungary, 3 infantry, 2 artillery, 1 mech, and 2, 4, 6 tanks. Romania, 2 artillery, and 9, 10 infantry, 2 anti-aircraft guns. Oh, you know what? I was going to move one of those up. So if you don't mind, one of those anti-aircraft guns is going to Slovakia. And then the last units is in Yugoslavia, 2 tanks, 1 mech. And that will be it for Germany. Turn 2, what I say, $58. And then there's your damage. 2 on the air base, unfortunately, 6 on the naval base, and 14 on the factory. Bombs away. It is now Russia, turn 2.